And here we are. We are live here tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
Yes, we are.
Yes, welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. Brought to you by, I forgot to send you the Zoom link after I thought I did, but that's what happens when you're 63. And by Geritol. Do they, do they even still have Geritol? I don't know.
I, that's a good question. I don't know if they do. The only time I ever saw them advertise Geritol was on Lawrence Welk and Ted Mack. Remember that?
Yes,
Remember Ted Mack?
yes, the Ted Mack Show. I certainly do. Well, anyway, welcome everybody. It's going to be a short show tonight. For reasons stated yesterday. The theater begins at 8 o'clock, and Joe's going to be watching it, and I guess I'll probably watch it too. But that's after last night's rant. I'm not going to say anything more. So we'll just leave it at that. And let me just send a notification here very quickly to those of you who are on my weather app, which is not working correctly. But I finally got somebody that's going to be able to help me next week, see if we can fix it. But I got the video page working. So just give me a moment here while I do this. And
Christina Pedia asking how Jeopardy was tonight, and the meteorologist won his fourth consecutive game. I'm rooting this guy on. I want him to make it to the Tournament of Champions. He'll have to win tomorrow night to do so, but doing pretty darn good.
I
Over
want
$100,000 in 4 nights.
they must have a special advisory up at that weather service.
Now, I don't know. Does he work at National Weather Service or
I
is he
I no
a?
I think so. They didn't specify whether he was a forecaster or what exactly he does, but he works for NWS somewhere in Minnesota, I believe.
Okay.
Well, maybe if this
Well, maybe
is
if he works at the Duluth Weather Service, then he's going to probably demand that all of the money he wins is in cold cash.
yes, very good. Very nice. All right, so why don't we get started here tonight as we roll along? Oh, Mrs. Bundy just made an appearance along with Tippy Hedren. I hit the button too bad. If you feel the need to share, by all means, please do. Your sharing capabilities are turned on. But starting with the satellite loop, well, we cleared out nicely here in the Northeast and actually even here in the Southeast. Had some downpours early this morning, just about the same time you had your downpours, as we continue to be attached at the hip in this weather pattern, and those are gone. And now you've seen improving weather conditions. Joe, it looks like I'm getting very confused about the weekend. You know, it's odd how the models have all sort of changed in terms of what they're doing with regards to this. Um, you can make a case if you look at the NAM, which, if I remember correctly, didn't really show very much, if anything, at all on Saturday. Then it has this sort of warm front, warm sector Sunday with the cold front showers and thunderstorms and maybe some severe weather. I think the GFS at 12Z was about the same. I didn't look at the European today. I don't know how did you square away uh, the weekend?
Well, contrary to what you been mentioning the last couple of days, I think that on Saturday, I think the best chance of getting wet will be in the afternoon. So I cannot say with any certainty or surety whether the Belmont, which is to be run at about 6:45, will come under dry conditions or whether or not there'll actually be showers in the vicinity. And then on Sunday, I went for a few more showers, possibly even a thunderstorm late in the day Sunday or Sunday night, and then more showers into early Monday. So
Okay.
I see the threat. Now, I don't see anything like what we went through this morning. Yours truly picked up 1.56 inches of rain in a very short interval of time. But I think that we will be under the gun both Saturday and Sunday for scattered showers, mainly late on Saturday and early on Sunday. Although there may also be on Sunday a chance for a little convection, I think, popping up later in the day on Sunday.
So now, by the way, SPC SBC should have paid attention to us last night. We were talking about severe weather. Now they did have it. It did wind up happening where they had that marginal risk set up in southern New Jersey, but they had an EF1 tornado. Thanks a hat tip to Timothy Veltman for letting me know. They had an EF1 tornado in Gloucester County in southern New Jersey last night, which, as you know, given what's gone on there in the last year, that apparently is the new tornado alley in the
Yeah.
Northeast because of the number of tornadoes that have occurred there. It is kind of odd that they see, for whatever reason, it seems to be focused. But I'm just kidding, SPC. I know you hang by our every word. But you do know that you do know that we do love you and respect you very much. And I'm not being sarcastic here. I'm being serious. So I'm just looking now at the new GFS, which it's got this dying area of showers, Joe. There's just for Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and then it's gone. And then it's got what looks like a warm front with some showers Sunday morning, and then a cold front with showers and storms in the afternoon. So I think this might be a candidate for a marginal risk, only because of the fact that you've got the upper trough is not too shabby. That'll be coming through Sunday. Let me just take a look really quick. Let's look at the NAM model here. That See what that says. Um,
I didn't hear any thunder this morning. I mean, I think Renata did wake up around 5:30 or 6 a.m. to proclaim, and she loves to do this, proclaim that it was raining very hard at that hour.
yes. Oh, I'm
And of
sure.
course, I'm of
I saw
course
the I saw the
I'm dead
radar.
asleep.
Go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry.
dead asleep at that hour, and I could, at night to be able to sleep through, but oh, wake up, it's raining. That's that kind of thing. So,
Well, I'm looking at I'm looking at the NAM for what it's worth, and do note that the NAM has been very squirrely for a while now until it gets inside 36 hours. But the NAM has absolutely nothing for Saturday. Not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing for Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's got showers and storms coming in late in the day and in the evening with a cold front going by. Well, let's look with the European. I've kind of gone with the idea that maybe the Saturday stuff is just going to wind up drying up, or if there is a shower on Saturday, it won't amount to much. The European has a little bit in Jersey and points south. Otherwise, it has nothing. And then on Sunday, it's got a cold front that comes through Sunday night during the overnight with some showers and storms after 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, they're in eastern Pennsylvania. Like actually, probably a little bit sooner than that because that's actually the rainfall. So let's say at 6 o'clock, they're in eastern Pennsylvania, and then by 8 o'clock, they're in New York City with a front going by, and then we move into next week, starting off dry on Monday. So look, take your pick, whichever one you like. I mean, I kind of like the idea that maybe it'll Saturday winds up being a big nothing because this lead shortwave has turned out to be weaker, 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 and no setup with any kind of wave along the coast by the southern feature is just dead or dying, and that Sunday may wind up being the bigger issue, and then that may just wind up being an issue where you get you wait till the cold front, so that much of the day will turn out to be okay.
right.
It's been a very convoluted last couple of days with how the models have handled things.
Yeah, it's like a juggling act, so to speak, juggling as to where the node of moisture will end up, which may translate into a little bit of precipitation. But I don't know. I it's not going to be raining all the time this weekend. That's the one good point. But there does look to be some kind of moisture, uh, uh, mention of some moisture, maybe on Saturday, again on maybe on Sunday too. I think the best chance, I agree with you, the best chance of getting wet, I think, will be later on Sunday because I also threw in the possibility for a little convection, a thunderstorm, and more likely Sunday late. We'll see some of that begin to pop in portions of the tri-state area. So don't cancel your outdoor plans, but just keep an eye to the sky and be advised that either day, especially later Sunday, you may get a bit wet.
All right, since we're on, I got the maps up now. I just figured let me pull up the. We'll take a just look at the tropics over the next 10 days or so, and once again, which is typical of this time of year, and actually not that different from what just happened in the sense that we had uh, Hurricane Agatha form in the Pacific, and then the remnants crossing over into the Southwest Gulf and Northwest Caribbean, and out of that, eventually we got Tropical Storm Alex after the broad low across Florida. Well, we're going to have a similar setup here, apparently, next week. There's a tropical storm that the models develop, actually probably even a minimal hurricane, moves into Mexico, but then you have this gyre that of moisture and low pressure that is lower than normal pressures all across the Caribbean, the Southwest Caribbean, and into the Northwest Caribbean, out into the Pacific side. And the GFS has been picking up on a developing system later next week. So it's just on the set. My usual rule is it gets in the 7 day time frame. It has to keep progressing. So it's just inside the 7 day time frame now. So let's see what it does overnight, and it takes it eventually into the Gulf of Mexico and moves it northwestward. Uh, Not impossible since this is the climatologically favorable year. But again, pressures down here. We noted this the last couple of days that the pressures down across that part of the Atlantic basin. And when we look at the upper air, we can kind of see why. There's a narrow east-west ridge that extends from east of Bermuda westward into the Gulf states and to Texas. So you're high, and that's all higher than normal pressures there. So this entire region down here is at best near normal pressures, and as evident by what we saw in the longer range, pressures are going to be falling there. I'm only out to 84 hours here. As we go through the time frame, we start to see uh, lower than normal heights start to pop up in the Gulf, and the low level, which is even more important, the low level pressures are going to be very low, down to like almost 1,004 millibars. If you can't spin up something in an environment where the pressure's down to 1,004 down there, um, that I mean that's pretty low. Now, what it does if it develops, and the European, just to be clear, the European, which in the last case was developing a system down there, see if it does it. So you had the two models doing it, and you always like to see support from another model in a situation like this. Let's take a look and see if the European does anything. The European has the gyre, but the pressures aren't quite as low. But it does have disturbed weather down there. So we'll keep an eye to see if the European lends support in the longer term. It seems to have the lower pressures more on the Pacific side than on the Atlantic side. The GFS has low pressures on both the Atlantic and the Pacific side, which means both sides will be active. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be something to keep an eye on since we already had one come out of that region.
Yeah, and the GFS, as we've been pointing out over recent weeks, or at least I've been pointing out, is that over the last couple of summers, the GFS seems to be the model of choice in picking out developing tropical systems early, unlike the Europeans. So
Right.
who knows? Maybe it has something up its sleeve for later next week. We'll watch this system take shape, and then we'll see whether or not the European says, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll join in that
Yeah.
concept."
Well, look, if it's on, if we come back Sunday morning, if it's on there, and if it by at that point it would probably be up to about day 5 or even inside day 5. I think the odds certainly go up. If it's still sitting there at day 7 or 8, like it did back in May, where it just never ever got beyond the 7 day time frame, then we could just put it to bed. In the meantime, the radars right now, there's some rain going on in northern Maine, a few scattered showers in upstate New York. The eastern seaboard seeing some scattered showers and storms along the Carolinas and in North Florida. Also some patches down in South Florida. And today's risk area is going to be in the plains again, and it's going to be overnight. So we've got, they're not quite there yet in terms of some of the showers and thunderstorms. Starting to see them moving into northeastern Mexico and northwest Texas. The Storm Prediction Center tonight has a large area of slight risk from eastern Colorado down into northeastern New Mexico, covering just about all of the southern and most of the central plains, by the way. And you can see this marginal risk down along the Gulf Coast, and then it sort of snakes up into North Carolina, which is playing itself out now. Tomorrow, we're going to see an enhanced risk of severe weather being indicated in parts of northeast Louisiana, central Mississippi, the southern half of Arkansas, with marginal risk pushing up into Missouri. Obviously, nothing going on the East Coast from Maine all the way down to Georgia, except the coastal Carolinas, where there's a general thunderstorm threat right along the immediate coast. Then we move on to Saturday, where we have no severe thunderstorms being indicated, although you can see with a general area of thunderstorms that are being shown by SPC. And on the long range with the day 4 through 8, it's the predictability too low loop that is playing. So we don't. We'll see what happens when we get there. Not much rain, Joe, along the immediate coastal plain from Maine down to Delaware, less than a tenth of an inch over the next 7 days. Now, you go up into northern New Jersey, you start to, and in the Hudson Valley, and then just inland, you start to see the quarter of an inch, and then in eastern Pennsylvania and points west, and also in southern New York, straight down into Virginia and eastern North Carolina. That's where you get into that half inch to inch zone. You can see rainfall from Florida northwestward through the coastal Gulf states, and then northwestward from there up into Arkansas and Oklahoma, and across the northern plains, looking at some rainfall of on the order of a few places like in Idaho, up to a couple of inches of rain, and also up in the Pacific Northwest. Now, let's run through the teleconnections. So here's Mr. PNA or Mrs. PNA, the standpoint of equal time, uh, which is positive right now by one standard deviation. Forecast to go neutral by mid-month, and then uh, slope downward. So we're going to go into a negative PNA, which suggests that there's some ridging in the east and some troughing in the west. However, on the other side of this, we have a NAO, which at the moment is negative and forecast to go neutral in a couple of days, and then peaks positive and then just sort of zigzags its way down into the neutral zone by the time we get to, let's say, June 18th, 19th. So, and half the members are above and half the members are below. So at best, it's a very wide spread. So we're talking a lot of a very indecisive in terms of how this is going to transpire. But I still think, Joe, that we're on track for next week with a couple of systems, a weak one on Tuesday, and then another cold front maybe late in the week. But other than that, I really don't see a whole lot happening. And then after that, we're probably still looking at the idea that we will have a rather cool uh, Father's Day weekend, but dry.
It's not as robust. The upper air is the 500 upper air is not as robust as yesterday. Yesterday they had I think a 3 or 4 contour cutoff low dropping straight south from Quebec right into the tri-state area. Now it's no longer a cutoff. It's more like a sharp trough, which kind of like digs southward and then kind of lifts away to the northeast over the Father's Day weekend. So it still shows kind of a coolish weather pattern, or at least something that's going to hold off the extreme heat that they're going to be seeing much of in the nation's midsection. But it's not quite the same as what they were promoting, the last couple of days, where it was an incredible, uh, low
Well,
pressure cutoff over the
yeah,
Northeast.
the European, by the way, is still not only insisting on it, but it's even more vigorous. The European has a uh, what is that? 558, 550, well, 549 cutoff low. One, two, three. four, five, six one. Let me see if I'm counting this right. One, two, three, four, five, six contours cut off over Central Lake Ontario. So
Yeah,
it's still trying to bring down this. It basically has deep cutoff lows on both coasts, and a ridge right in the middle. So you have a ridge, right along 95 west, straight north, with an upper high over Nebraska and Kansas. I mean, if this is correct, I mean that's going to be some pretty hot weather getting into the central and especially in the northern plains, with another cutoff low, not as vigorous as the one in the east, but another cutoff low in Oregon. So you got deep cutoffs on both coasts and a ridge right in the middle. The GFS, as you pointed out, I'm putting it up for the same time frame. On the other hand, for the same time frame, Joe has now. If this is correct, Father's Day weekend will be hot, uh, or at least borderline hot. It's got a closed upper high over Kentucky, okay, on the new run, and they, ridging up into the Great Lakes, a hurricane north of Cuba, and a deep trough out at about 110. So it doesn't have that. Now it doesn't even have. It has the whole thing that drops down into the northeast. It actually drops down from James Bay and moves almost straight east and out. And yeah, I mean, this would suggest that we would get not only get hot, but then the ridge actually shifts eastward to the east coast, so that we would have a heat wave for a few days, starting Father's Day weekend and lasting into the beginning of the week following Father's Day. I mean, they're so opposite. It's just so ridiculous. I would just say this. Given the fact that there's been this tendency for troughs to drop into the eastern part of the United States, why should I believe that there's going to be a big ridge in the east? You're going to have to sell this to me because it's going to, I'm going to have a tough time really being convinced of all this.
well, it can't continue forever. I mean, eventually the pattern has to break down and change. But whether or not it does break down Father's Day weekend is a whole different story. I love, by the way, how that hurricane kind of lifts through Texas and then kind of gets surrounded by or gets absorbed, so to speak, by that big ridge over the
Yeah,
nation's section.
yeah, very interesting. And then eventually, by the way, even if that happens, then you got another trough that drops into the east on the GFS on the old run at the end of the forecast period. When I say the old run, the primary 812Z run, and then you go to the 18Z run, and even here, I mean, it's more of a sheared look, but it's got a northwest flow coming right back after the big upper high breaks down. Look, if the other thing I'm just going to put into this is the fact that the ridge that's being built by the GFS in the long range is in response to the hurricane that the or the strong tropical storm that it develops in the Caribbean. We don't even know that it's real because the outflow from that storm is going to reinforce any ridge that's to the north of it. Now, the outflow is all dry air, and it's going to reinforce the ridge to the north. So that could be the reason why the GFS is doing this. When in fact, if you look at the European, which has nothing developing down there, you can understand why the European is doing what it's doing. So that tropical system being real or not real is going to be very, very important as far as how the long range comes out.
Yep. And yeah, well, you make the comment about the tropical system, and who's to say that it will be even there? We again, you said it best. Sunday morning when we reconvene, we'll have a better handle as to things in the future. Right now, we can only just speculate.
Yes, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's this is also that time of year where the switch is going to get flipped. I mean, as you said, no pattern's going to last forever, and eventually you are going to flip the switch over to summer, and you're going to start to see uh, hot air trying to spread into the east and into other parts of the country. So far, it's been relatively subdued, except in the Southwest. I mean, we've had these odd couple of days here and there, but that really has been it. I mean, eventually it does have to change. It's just a matter of trying to pinpoint exactly when that is. And if the teleconnections, looking at them with especially the widespread on the NAO, leads you to be very suspect with the operational run because of the fact that there's a big difference between having an NAO that's -1 and one that's +1 in terms of what the pattern is going to be.
Now we have the chairman has sent me a Briller Jeopardy, but obviously because of a shortened show tonight, we will not have that, but we will have it on Sunday, and I do believe it has something to do with the honeymooners, Joe. So
Oh,
you
so that's
get
going to
up on
be.
your honeymooners trivia.
Oh, you know what? As much as I do love the honeymooners, I don't know the show as well as
I love Lucy.
correct. I want
Yeah.
to post something up, so give me a second. I'm trying to get a picture that I took today. Uh, we got a couple of minutes, and they're not going to. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, or, or Madam Speaker. Just give me one moment
Well, they
here.
claim this is going to be a 2 hour thing. I mean, I'm anxious to watch. One of my favorite shows comes on right after, which is on Channel Two,
Bull.
Bull. And the season finale was a couple of weeks ago. And now they're rerunning some of the better shows from this season. But I love Bill, and I'd like to watch it. But I suspect that I honestly wonder whether or not it's going to end at 10 o'clock, whether or not it's going to spill over beyond 10 o'clock tonight, whatever they have planned.
Well, it may very well be. Just
Yeah.
give me 1 second here while I get this picture up. Uh, done. Send. I'm emailing something to myself, and give me a moment. You'll get you'll get a kick out of this. Should have I should have done this before, but I was on the phone with my brother for about 40 minutes, uh, having a conversation, and then the next thing I knew, it was 7:30. Come on,
Meanwhile, tonight's Joe and Joe is brought to you by, let me
Cran
see here,
bars, yes,
Grandma's home style would be a delicious mystery appetizer, moist and mixable with a touch of tender veggies, 100% complete and balanced. It is like something you have never eaten before, unless you happen to have a dog.
yes, which I do. Now let me show you. Let me show you my picture. Did you yeah, you unshared it, right? So you don't even have
Yes, I
to.
did.
So you should be able to see this. So if you ever want to see what this is, my ankle, which has now been reattached to the leg, or at least it was last Friday. This is what it looked like on the X-ray today, and you could see the what looks like a giant hex bolt that is in my leg that connects the two bones and the tendons and ligaments together. So I thought, can you see it yet? Or are you still on a delay?
Yes, I can see it. I see
Yeah,
it. It's the X-ray of your.
of me being screwed, basically.
Yeah. Yes. But look at that.
Isn't that something?
I mean, you could actually see the what do you call them? The ridges in the screw or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the
It's
the
amazing.
the doctor said well the screw's going to come out in 4 weeks. So
Right.
in the meantime, I'm able to get around in the boot. He took the bandages off my legs, so I just got my leg in the boot, my foot in the boot. It's very comfortable. I can walk around with ease. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to join a dance competition or run a marathon anytime soon, but um, you know, I can get around my house and get things done, and I can drive, thankfully, because it's my left leg and not my right leg. But it is fascinating to be able to see it. But he had said to me that the he's only seen this twice in 51 years, and how my bones didn't shatter, it was beyond him. He said that I must have my bones must be like steel rods, that it was that they didn't break because my foot wound up being at a 90-degree angle. I should have taken the original picture, the original X-ray when he put it up, but I was too uncomfortable. It was my first visit, so I didn't know what was going on. It didn't even occur to me to go ahead and take a picture of what my leg looked like. It was not pretty, but that's
And
what.
thank you, Christina. Thank you, Christina Pedia, for pointing out those ridging things they're called threads. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
and wants to know if it has a hex head, Joe.
You know what? I have a piece of plastic that's covering the screw. I can't see it, but there are threads. He told me that there are threads on the screw. So uh,
Yeah.
apparently, that part of the bone where it goes in is very spongy. So when they take the screw out, the sponginess of it just kind of fills back in. So I'm gonna have that done in 4 weeks. And then I think I have to be in the boot for another week or two after that, and then I should be fine. So, um,
Until the next thing happens.
no, there is not. Yeah, listen, I'm still dealing with the first thing from back in October. So,
Yeah.
I got a call today. I was supposed to go tomorrow for my infusion, and uh, they said, well, we have to postpone it for a couple of days because the insurance company hasn't sent the approval yet. It's like they've had 4 weeks, and I've already had this twice. What is the problem here? You know, I listen, it's great to have medical insurance. I get it, but when you don't use it, and this is the first time this year I've needed it twice in a big way, and up until then, nothing. I mean, rest of this is my first time in my life. I was had 2 surgeries here, and I never had a surgery before in my life. Um, Health insurance is great, but when you using it is a whole nother matter, and then maneuvering your way through the red tape is even worse. So, just a little bit of a warning here. Okay, um, I guess that's just about it. It's 8:03, so let's call it a night, and we'll be back on Sunday. I don't know what size screw it is, by the way, Christina Petey. Yeah, 14 by 2. It's probably. Um, So we'll see you, everybody, on Sunday at the usual Joe and Joe Weather Show time, which is 11 o'clock
7
Eastern
a.m.
time.
Yes.
All right. So everybody, have a great night and enjoy your weekend. See you on Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Nighty night. Wow.